Hello friend, welcome back. Today I will be talking about the different types of software that I use for my photography business. So the first main one is Lightroom. And obviously this is a given if you're a photographer, but I like to use Lightroom for my more general stylistic edits in a photo after I'm done with using Photoshop. And in Lightroom, I end up doing my split toning as well as deciding which photos I will end up using. I also do a little pre-step, which is once I decide which photos I really like that I'm going to spend my time on, I will then do some quick edits, which are to remove chromatic aberration, which can cause like the little blue and purple on the edges of your different subjects in your photos, usually because your camera and the way the lighting works, it's a whole thing, but it just has a little bit of distortion. Also, I end up using it I check the little box to fix camera settings, and for instance, I use a wide angle lens for pretty much everything, and obviously this creates distortion around the edges. And so what this does is kind of helps, it detects if it's a raw file, it detects the camera equipment that was used, and then does like quick little adjustments to be able to convert it if it was done like, regular. And I do all this before I end up exporting as a smart object into Photoshop. And the reason I export as a smart object is so that I can edit non-destructively my original file. And this is super, super important because if, for instance, you're working for a client, you will deliver an edit, and usually they have some tweaks they want. And you want to be able to go back and edit only the particular layer related to the tweak you need to do, rather than having to completely scrap all of your work. And it keeps the original file intact, so if you have to scrap everything, your file's still okay, you can start over. And then if, for instance, you make a mistake on editing the skin or whatever, your original file is not damaged. So it's a super important thing to remember when you are working in Photoshop. And furthermore, I use Photoshop for my heavy duty editing, such as like skin texture, using it to improve the color toning of the skin, fixing stuff in the background, flyaway hairs, you name it. I definitely do most of my editing in there. And then once I'm done, when I press save, since I exported from Lightroom into Photoshop, every time you press save, it will create a different copy, and that will be with all your Photoshop edits, and it will just like overwrite your Photoshop copy in Lightroom every time you hit save in Photoshop. And this will allow you to essentially have your pre-Photoshop copy and your post-Photoshop copy. And the cool thing is that Photoshop saves a TIFF file that has all the layers, so if you ever have to go back and edit, you will have all of your edits in there that are separate from your original file, and you can just tweak as necessary. But yeah, and from there I do my final like color split toning edits in Lightroom with my Photoshop copy image, and just kind of, even if I have to use a reference image for a client or personal reasons, I can make sure it's there side by side and be able to really compare and ensure it matches the mood or the mood board that we have for this photo shoot. From there, I like to export it into a client-specific folder where the edits are separate from the raw files. And it's super important, in my opinion, to create two different sized files saved down. The first is a size of a file that meets the exact specifications of what your client is looking for, so that way whenever they send it through, they get exactly what they're asking for. Sometimes that sizing won't be nearly as big enough as you personally would need it to be in the future. And by that I mean you want to create a second copy that has a lot bigger of a size to it, that's so that way if you ever want to go back and use it in the future and have all your edits saved down, it's all there and it's in a size that can be used They can be scaled down, scaled up, and you don't have to like keep going back and saving new copies, or for some reason if you deleted your Lightroom stuff, you can have already a file that's a big enough size that you can use for pretty much anything. It could be a little bit overkill, but it's better to be safe than sorry. You never know what's gonna happen in the future, and with this stuff, you'll be surprised how often you lose pictures. So obviously that's not ideal, but you want to be prepared in case you lose the original for whatever reason. But yeah, those are the main things I use. I get Lightroom and Photoshop in my photography bundle through Adobe. It's a monthly subscription plan. It's about $10, which is, I think, super affordable, and you always get the latest in their cloud suite stuff. And yeah, everything's cloud-based, so you can download it on a new laptop, or if you're working somewhere else, you obviously will be able to, if you have the storage plan, open them up if you're working remotely somewhere, and voila, it's there. So super versatile, super affordable, and super powerful tools. I know a lot of photographers use a lot of other things out there, but you will hear from everybody that those are the main things you really need. So if you have any questions relating the two, or if you want me to do a more detailed tutorial on like either one of those, I'd be more than happy to. Make sure to comment below, or if you liked it, comment that too, you know, gas me up. But yeah, so anyway, that's the video for today. You'll see me soon with some more videos, but I hope you like that. Till next time.